Hey there. How are you? I am back. Um, I guess each day it gets more and more official, even though we're all saying it's pretty much official at this point. But Joe Biden is now president elect, and Kamala Harris is vice president elect. In the words of Shoe on Head, she said in her live stream yesterday, um, what the left should be doing is to not celebrates Biden's victory, but celebrate Trump's loss. And I'm one of those people on the left that didn't actually suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I didn't act like the sky was falling when Donald Trump got elected. I just thought he was going to be another Republican, and as usual, I was right. And that's pretty much good enough reason to not support Donald Trump. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump, how everything evolved all the way to the time he actually, on election day, where the American people rejected him. And this shall explain why the man lost the election. And it was his election to lose. Donald Trump, prior to 2016, everybody knew the guy. He was this billionaire real estate mogul guy. And he was, his personality was very over the top, kind of douchey, kind of braggadocious, jerky, no filter, and it was kind of comical, irritating and comical, but it was part of his trademark, his it was part of his gimmick, including the bad hair, comb over. I'm no I'm no one to talk about comb overs. I got one myself. I'm not bald, but let's just put it this way: I don't have the thickness and volume of my hair that I had when I was 20 years old. Wish I did, but I'm not bald. You know, I'm just 51 years old. And thankfully, really doesn't run in the family. But anyway, I'm digressing. Uh, yeah. And he's been a Democrat, he's been a Republican, he's been in Ross Perot's Reform Party, and he's been an independent, and he's switched back and forth ideologically. Well, actually, along more, not ideologically, but more along partisan lines over the years. Um, his politics, although he's the American face of pop capitalism. Donald Trump was, prior to the 2016 presidential contest, he was, when it came to politics, he was mostly liberal to moderate on various issues. I mean, at one time, he was a passionate supporter of single payer Medicare for all. Who would have thought that he had the same position on healthcare 20 years ago that Bernie Sanders been embracing all his life? Just wish that Donald Trump's position on healthcare 20 years ago was still his position today. Unfortunately, that didn't become the case because, you know, when he entered the Republican Party, he knew he had to play ball and succumb to their litmus test and their political correctness. So when Republicans accuse Democrats of having litmus tests and political correctness and party lines, don't be fooled. While there is an amount of truth to that, the Republicans practice their own version too. Try going into the Republican Party with the politics of Bernie Sanders, and they'll tell you to get the fuck out of here so damn quick, especially in today's Republican Party. But anyway, he was pro Medicare for all at one time. He was pro LGBTQ. I still think he's probably pro LGBTQ. All the anti LGBTQ posture that happened in the last 4 years has Mike Pence's fingerprints all over it. Um, I simply don't believe him when he said he's pro life. I simply don't believe him when he said that he's a Second Amendment absolutist today. And recently, when he said that he's a born again, non denominational Christian instead of a Presbyterian, I didn't believe him in any of these things. Um, on the anti war thing, his record has been kind of mixed as president, but Apparently he was opposed to the Iraq War in 2003, which that's another feather in his cap. The thing about it is the obvious bad about Donald Trump is that he's not so much a capitalist or even a pop capitalist, but a corporatist. Good about using it in 2015, 2016. Um, he's been a long supporter of the death penalty, which that's just a non-starter for me. Being for the death penalty is it's just evil. He's a tax evader. His Trump University is, very fraudulent. And one of the really profound, shitty things about Donald Trump prior to him running in the year 2016 was that he was a birther. That Tea Party mindset garbage about Barack Obama supposedly being a secret Muslim born in Kenya that was placed as a Manchurian candidate as a source to destroy Western civilization. Well, Donald Trump was on board with that shit. Now, here's the thing: a lot of things that people don't know about birthers, the conspiracy theory against Obama. They all think it must be a bunch of redneck racist motherfuckers in the backwoods that came up with this conspiracy theory to destroy Barack Obama's reputation. Believe it or not, even though Alex Jones and people like that believed in that shit, he was not the inventor of it, nor the other conspiracy kooks on the far right were not inventors of this conspiracy theory. The first person that came up with this conspiracy theory was Hillary Clinton in the year 2008 when she was battling Barack Obama in the Democratic primaries. And she came up with this thing about Barack Obama being a secret Muslim born in Kenya that was transplanted here to destroy Western civilization. And so, yeah, but it was Hillary Clinton. Another reason to hate Hillary Clinton is that she was the one that came up with that conspiracy theory, that bullshit conspiracy theory against Barack Obama. Not a fan of Barack Obama in any way, shape, or form. Was never impressed with the man. I knew he was transparent, and I knew he was a cop out. Well, okay, for about 2 minutes, when Dennis Kucinich dropped out in the 2008 primaries, I was thinking about supporting Barack Obama, but I found out right away that there were things about him that was questionable as far as his progressive credentials were concerned, and I went and supported Mike Gravel in the primaries that year. And on election day, I voted for Ralph Nader for president. So, because I'm principled and I just can't make myself feel dirty when it comes to voting for a president. So I've been in habit of voting third party most of my life. Just how I am. Well, I do have a conspiracy theory about Donald Trump. As I said, Donald Trump was a liberal Democrat on occasion. And I would argue that when he was a Republican and during the Reagan years, he was also probably a liberal Republican. And he's one of those people that I think maybe joined the Reform Party of Ross Perot because, just he niche of people who had kind of socially moderate views of the world, but was protectionist in their outlook and everything. And I think that kind of fit. I think that Donald Trump is a very typical Northeast Easterner in that regard. Donald Trump, as I said, he was a Democrat in many years, and he's actually donated it to Nancy Pelosi. So you see the hatred that goes on between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. May be dog and pony show. It may be sincere, but the point is that he donated to Nancy Pelosi in the past, and that Donald Trump was always tight with Bill and Hillary Clinton. I mean, they hung out and they were good friends, and there's all kinds of pictures out there that shows that Bill and Hillary Clinton were very tight and friendly with Donald Trump. Well, here, I think, and this is what I think happened. I think the scenario, and I'm not for certain, but I guess this is sort of what I figure, that Bill Clinton and Donald Trump went out golfing because these rich people love to golf like there's no tomorrow. And and Bill Clinton and Donald Trump were golfing together and talking. And I believe that he came up to Donald Trump and said, "Well, hey Donald, my wife is thinking about running for president in 2016. I think it'd be kind of interesting if you submit your name in the Republican primaries to see what will happen. With your clout and everything, I think that you should go and enter the Republican primaries. You can basically disrupt the Republican Party from within, maybe fracture them and have them tremendously weakened, will make it really easy for my wife to become the first female president of this country. What do you got to say?" "Well, Bill, I think it's a good idea." My Donald Trump impression is not much better than my Bill Clinton impression. I think they had an arrangement. And I really do believe that Donald Trump entered the Republican primary with the intent of disrupting the Republican Party from within in the primaries. And if you look back, go on YouTube here, look back at the various debates in the primaries in the last 4 years between all the Republicans that were running for president. And you look at it, you have to come to that foregone conclusion because Donald Trump was polarizing in that primaries. He was polarizing, and he really. I mean, for somebody with my politics who's not for him, I couldn't help having just a little bit of sympathy watching him in the primaries because it was lovely seeing him slap around Jeb Bush like the little bitch that he is, and shaking around Ted Cruz like the asshole he is, and pushing and shoving Marco Rubio around, like the little frat boy, preppy asshole that he is, and going around and pushing around that marshmallow from New Jersey. What's his name? Chris Christie. It was wonderful watching this. I was just like, this was the best show around. I mean, I would watch. I was like, damn, he's got him good. I was just like, it was entertaining. It was like that was my first impression that we became a Saturday Night Live sketch turned into real life. And so it was just awesome watching that. And of course, while they just argue over bullshit on the Republican side for the first time in many, many years, you had you had Hillary Clinton and you had Bernie Sanders actually arguing policy. That's not any credit to Hillary Clinton because the person who gets credit for talking about policy was Bernie Sanders. He had to force Hillary Clinton to talk about policies. And he exposed Hillary Clinton for the DLC bullshit that was done to the Democratic Party that was caused by Bill and Hillary Clinton. And people wonder why I hate the Clintons so much is that they were involved with that Democratic Leadership Council that Reaganized the fucking Democratic Party. And while the Democratic Leadership Council no longer exists, a new form of the DLC exists today called the Lincoln Project. The Never Trump Republicans entering the Democratic Party because they hate Orange Man, and there's going to be payback. And the payback is that the Democratic Party remains the diet Republican Party as it is. So, for all intents and purposes, the Lincoln Project is the new Democratic Leadership Council. And I know some of you going, "Oh God, there he goes talking about the Democratic Leadership Council again." They done that much of a damage. But as I said, Trump was there to disrupt the GOP primaries. But I think that something accidental happened. I think that there was a traction that started to develop, and people started to like Donald Trump. And as Donald Trump started to look like he might have a um, a chance to become the presidential nominee, I think he thought to himself, you know what? Fuck this arrangement I have with Bill and Hillary Clinton. I think I'm going to go and try to win this White House. Fuck the Clintons. I'm going to go and become president. And I think that that's right there where it happened. Trump ran, and he in the 2016 campaign, love him or hate him, I voted for Jill Stein, so you know where I stand. He campaigned on protectionism, which was a good thing. Now, and he also campaigned on infrastructure, because you know what, we do need a federal jobs program that provides wages for people who are unemployed and everything. We can make unemployment gone tomorrow. And he talked about infrastructure. Um, Although he talked about getting rid of Obamacare, and while he didn't insinuate that he was going to give us Medicare for all or single payer, he did promise that healthcare will somehow remain universal, and that we will get all good healthcare. And what I think that he really was going to do, if he really, I think he was hinting that he was going to keep Obamacare and add a public option. That's what I think he was actually hinting. And of course, probably if I have to say there's one thing where Donald Trump would be better than anything else, would be ending the neocon wars, or promising to end the neocon wars. Would have been nice if he would have kept that promise. But here's the thing: when Donald Trump became president and he got elected and sworn in the past 4 years, he's been 50-50 on outsourcing versus protectionism. Good that the TPP was gone. And that was good. And the believe it or not, I don't have a problem with the tariffs with regard to China, and because this is that, I'm all for keeping American jobs. So the stop clock gets the right time twice a day. He will get credit for the First Step Act, which is a major piece of criminal justice reform. And on foreign policy, he's 50-50. He's been good on North Korea. He's been shitty on Iran. He's typically shitty, like most presidents are, when it comes to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, and the bullying of Venezuela is absolutely unforgivable. Venezuela is not a threat to the United States in any shape or way or form. And the United States bullying Venezuela is an act of evil in relation to the United States. But probably one of the worst things Donald Trump did during his presidency, and I am no fan of General Salami, and I'm sorry I can't pronounce his name, when he was visiting Baghdad and the United States murdered him. Why the fuck did he do that? Now, Salami is not a good guy at all, and I'll be the first to tell you that. But you know what? Salami has been responsible for ISIS getting majorly defeated. Yeah, I mean, Iran hates ISIS just as much as the West, and so that's the thing right there. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but he's a bad guy that's not as bad as some of the other bad characters in that region. And so Donald Trump going around, assassinating a top military general in another country. Um, that's an actual war crime as far as I'm concerned. But on the really, really, really bad side about Trump, and the list is pretty long and typical. The tax cuts are to be expected. And here's the problem with the tax cuts. You had the tax cuts. Yeah, we know Republicans love tax cuts. Um, but it was tremendously tilted heavily toward the rich. Is what they do. Of course, I'm not surprised that's what he did. Um, Goldman Sachs, putting Goldman Sachs people in your administration. The corporatists, in other words. I mean, again, I'm not tremendously surprised, and if he was going to do that, he should not have been in your face about it. Education Secretary Betsy DuBose, she's not just a corporatist, but she's also a Christian fundamentalist and wants to basically transform the education with these stupid voucher programs that I am deeply opposed to. The courts, he's stacked the courts with all these right-wing judges on these lower courts, lower federal courts, right up to the Supreme Court, to the point where it's going to be about a generation, if not longer, before the Supreme Court shifts back into a more positive, let's say, civil liberties direction. Here's where I get really, really, really triggered. In one of his State of the Union addresses this past year, he actually he when Rush Limbaugh was diagnosed with lung cancer, he had Rush Limbaugh in the joint sessions of Congress with the Presidential State of the Union, and awarded Rush Limbaugh the Presidential Medal of Honor for Freedom. I am deeply offended by that, because while I'm basically a good enough a person, not that I'm a good person, but I'm good enough of a person that I would never wish death on anybody. I'm really am sorry that Rush Limbaugh got cancer, but Rush Limbaugh does not need to be getting any Presidential Medal of Honor for Freedom. Rush Limbaugh is an authoritarian asshole, and some of his commentaries on Rush Limbaugh all these years pretty much states that as such. Donald Trump it has weakened and watered down Obamacare. Not a fan of Obamacare. It was a Heritage Foundation plan, as I stated many, many times. The Republicans were for Obamacare before they were against it. It wasn't called Obamacare. It was originally called Romney Care. And so he's allowing it to crumble for partisan reasons. No infrastructure. If you want to have full employment, you need a nationwide infrastructure program. He promised that. He failed to deliver. While I do not fault Donald Trump for COVID-19, I do fault him for his handling of it. But I also will fault the congressional Republicans too in the House and in the Senate, and I'll also fault the congressional Democrats in the House and the Senate, because they all want to be partisan assholes. And I blame all the governors from both parties across the country for handling it in their individual crazy ways. Whether it's was it Ron DeSantis of Florida opening everything up, or Governor Gavin Newsom of California closing everything down, and everybody else kind of doing a mishmash of both all across the country. To be criticized for that, for sure. Let's see. Let's go on further. Threatening to use the Insurrection Act with the civil unrest that's been going on and everything. The fact that he was actually contemplating invading the United States with the United States Army to, I'm uncomfortable with any president that wants to use the Insurrection Act. Freedom of speech, he's been terrible. He's wanting to declare people who desecrate the flag as treason and having them revoke their U.S. citizenship. He's wanting to put people in prison for engaging in BDS, boycott, disinvestment, sanctions campaign against Israel. And let's see what else. And he wants to harmonize the libel laws in the United States with that of Great Britain, whereas a public figure can sue some insignificant person for speaking ill of that person, which is a tremendous assault on the First Amendment. And as have appointing not just Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, and Gene Haspel as director of the CIA, but also appointing as his national security advisor John Bolton, who is the biggest war criminal you can imagine, with so much blood on his hands. I mean, he's killed so many people that she chop off the mustache a little more. That mushroom shaped mustache, if it was chopped off a little more, it would look like a Charlie Chaplin mustache, if you know what I mean, from Germany. But John Bolton is a war criminal. But on the flip side, he did fire John Bolton. So and so when you even have Shank Ugert from the Young Turks praising Donald Trump, you know Donald Trump did something good when he fired John Bolton. But he should have never appointed him to begin with, because appointing someone like John Bolton ain't draining the swamp. Is making the swamp is adding more swamp water to the swamp. Um, Now this is what did him in. He no longer campaigned as a populist. He campaigned as another garden variety Republican. The policies of he campaigned with the policies of oh God, what's his name? Mitt Romney. And the Republicans love his policy, especially the establishment Republicans love his policy. They just wish that he had a demeanor of Mitt Romney when doing these things. So he campaigned as a just as another Republican, and the normie Republicans hated his mean tweets, his no filters, and just his demeanor and everything. If that was and honestly, that was probably the only thing that was okay about him. I'm okay with the mean tweets. I'm okay with the no filters and the bombastic silliness. I'm okay with that. I hate the policies, because the policies that Trump gave us was pretty much what you would get from George W. Bush, or what a John McCain presidency would have been like, or what a Mitt Romney presidency for that matter. It was pretty much that. But I also have a theory that Donald Trump is a very lazy person, and so he loved being a pop icon. So walking around these rallies, entertaining people, and being the center of attention. He enjoyed that sort of thing. So he's been on campaign mode all during the past 4 years. Mike Pence pretty much ran the country. So much for this populism that he talked about. And this is why a lot of never Trumper Republicans of 2016 ended up pretty much supporting Donald Trump in 2020, because they knew that it was Mike Pence running the show. They just wish that Donald Trump would go away, and they would love to have Mike Pence in there instead. Um, as I said, I do think that Donald Trump is a social moderate, but he sat there and campaigned to the Christian right, coddle the Christian right, and engaged in this culture war nonsense that I, that just makes me just cringe and want to stay as far away from the Republicans as possible. And here's the clincher: I hear so many conservatives and so many people on the right accuses liberals and minority groups of victim politics. And there may be even a grain of truth to it. But Donald Trump acted like a victim. In various interviews, he talked about how unfair people have been toward him and how mean they are. I mean, and cry me a fucking river. A billionaire complaining about how people hated him. Maybe Donnie, if you didn't go around acting like an asshole all the time, maybe people would hate you less, for those that do in fact hate you. And I just think that maybe because of the COVID and the civil unrest, and people are just fatigued, and they're remembering what a normal society was like. People get tired of shit, and they're fickle, and they know they want to go back to what was comfortable and familiar, and that means a sense of normalcy. And with Donald Trump, you don't get that. but you would with Joe Biden, for better or worse, to the point that even some normie Republicans ended up supporting Joe Biden, which is should be a red flag for Democrats, whether you're on the left or you're just a corporate Democrat. Should be a red flag if the Republicans are big name Republicans are interested in supporting your campaign. Watch out. They want payback, and I think that the left is going to be very disappointed with what they think in regard to Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Vosh. We're not. We may try to bully Trump. Excuse me, Biden. And I want to bully Biden and make sure he campaigns and make sure he becomes the next FDR. I'm just realistic enough to know that that's not going to happen. And of course, Donald Trump is a little baby. He's acting like a little child. And his supporters, many of his supporters are too. And they're acting the same way that Hillary Clinton acted in 2016. They're acting the very same way and having the same kind of meltdown Hillary Clinton supporters had in 2016. Where's your dignity as far as trying to to um, to accept that you lost the damn election? But here's the clincher. The rumor is that Donald Trump is thinking about running in 2024. I'm not too concerned about Donald Trump's comeback because they're fatigued, and the Republican Party will make damn sure they're going to do to Donald Trump if he runs in 2024 what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders in 2016, 2020. Not that I'm saying that Bernie Sanders is just like Donald Trump, because he's not. But I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. And so, there you have it. We got another, let's see, to this November, December, January. We got about a little less than 2.5 months before we get back to the return of normal. Let's see what happens from there. So anyway, I am long-winded enough, but that's all I got to say right now. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were triggered and bothered, well, comment anyway. Share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something, you want to share it with the world, and you have a platform, utilize it. If you don't have a platform, create one and utilize it anyway, because we're all the muckrakers of our time. And most importantly, please, whatever you do, hit that subscribe button. Help make this channel grow. I am American social democracy. And until next time, peace. And Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024. And let me just conclude that I have a reason for saying this. I dedicate this particular video to John Padmore. I want John Padmore to know that. But anyway, and he will understand why. Okay, thank you, everyone, and we will talk next time. And remember, Bernie Sanders, support him in 2024. Encourage him to run.